Rail fans, welcome back to the Train Zone channel. I want to show you how to install a transformer controlled reversing unit into this MPC Lionel 8569 switcher engine. Now, why do we want to do that? Because from the factory, this switcher engine came with a engine controlled forward, neutral, reverse switch. And that's all it was. It was a switch. It's not a reversing unit. So this guy, you got to reach down to the engine, so it's engine controlled, right? You notice how the box didn't say transformer controlled. Forward, neutral, reverse. There's nothing here. It's just a switch. So forward, neutral, reverse. Forward, neutral, reverse. What good is this thing? You can't switch any cars in your freight yard. So I had a 211 Texas Special post-war diesel engine sitting around with a bad motor in it, and a wore-out worm drive gear down in there, and parting it out, selling it. And I kept the reversing unit and decided I was going to modify it, see if I could put it inside of here, and it turned out pretty good. So the reason I chose a 2-position versus a 3-position is it had the same lever coming up. The 211 Texas Special is an Alco, so the lever is further from the edge, so I did have to modify it a little bit. The lever rubs just lightly on the inside of that plastic there. I filed down or shaved down the plastic with a knife and bent the lever out just a little bit, not even an 1/8 inch, maybe 1/16 of an inch, 1/16 of an eighth, and it works fairly smooth. It's a nice tight reversing unit. And I'm going to take the cover off this thing and I'll show you inside how it ended up working. Here's the gem right here. These tabs were sticking straight out. So, and this thing was free. It was left over out of a parts motor, so I, with the shell being real tight here, put my needle nose in here, bent these down as tight as I could, and you don't want them to touch the frame of this, so bend them down as tight as I could. And then I want to be able to show you the screw. I had to drill a hole for that. Then you can see that I filed off the burrs, and it's got the washer. I think you could Dremel that out. You could probably have a rectangle slot. You could have a bigger flat washer. You can do all sorts of stuff. I got lucky on how it fit. I had to work on it for a while. I had to work on it for over half an hour. This edge right here, this shoulder, this corner, rests on the top of this bracket here. So that's what controls the angle of how the reversing unit sits. So I kept machining the hole, putting the drill in from the back. The drill and the chuck in this area put the bit in an angle like this. So it wasn't a perfect first shot. And then, the bit's only 1.5 inches long. So I had to wallow out the hole, run the drill around, move it left and right. So it's possible that with a Dremel, cutting out a rectangle area might be a little bit better. I'm not sure. You can see how much I bent the lever here, just up a little bit, from 90 degrees, to 100 degrees or something like that. And then, like I said, I shaved the inside of the plastic of the shell. The wiring is pretty straightforward. You just look in your Lionel train service manual if you don't know how to wire up these reversing units. Pretty simple. It did not have any kind of headlight assembly in here. I think it was all missing. I think there's supposed to be a plastic socket in here, so I just took this 14 volt. Let's see, what is this? 1449. Yep, 14 volt. And it threaded right down into this hole. So I threaded it down in there, soldered on the wire. It'll be pretty easy to replace that if I ever need to. And this is a real low use motor. I didn't even replace the brushes. Those things are like brand new. Let's see, we've got the post-war type operating coupler I installed on it. rather than the thin little plastic coupler like it's on the back. I don't have a good way to install a different coupler on the back here. You know, the post-war switchers, the rear truck is a collector truck. I think I could put one of those on. I could have a collector truck back here and have 4 contact rollers, and then have an automatic coupler, die-cast steel coupler back here. You know, look at how thin these are. It works well enough, it can pull a lot of cars, but you see how much nicer that coupler looks. I put new traction tires on it, got everything greased up. These types of motors, these MPC motors, always grease in here. That's the #1 wear spot. Those metal posts on the side of your MPC motor, those will wear down at a little bit of an angle from these nylon gears. She's a beauty. One more thing. This headlight, sure, it's a 14-volt headlight. It's not excessively bright or anything, but one thing I noticed is it's shining through the plastic, this red plastic, all the way back to the cab here. And that's probably the reason why Lionel paints the inside of a lot of their cabs, is it keeps the light from shining through. So rather than paint the inside, I took some of this reflective tape. This is for an HVAC application. This stuff's real thin, it's not the heavy duty stuff. And then where the contacts for the side of the reversing unit would rub here, since this is metallic, I cut it out, and I think there's only a 1/16 inch of clearance in there. When I was first messing with it before I got them bent all the way, they were scratching up the side of this. So this is electrical tape here. So that's keeping the light from coming through, and now you can see just a little bit around these edges, but it looks really good. Now, as always, thanks for checking out the Train Zone channel. And remember, you need to click that red bell to stay subscribed. You can't just subscribe to somebody on YouTube. You have to click the red bell to stay subscribed. They make it tricky like that. They don't want to make it easy. They want to make you work for this stuff. It's a lot of fun. We got to work for it.